Hello, it's me again. Welcome. Hi, I'm a bit late for pan that slash those palette slash eyeshadows for this year. My bad. But as you all know, I'm just a little struggle bus over here. I'm a little tiny struggle bus. And that's okay. I'm proud to be a tiny struggle bus. News on that though, I saw a psychiatrist for the first time ever. In the first meeting, they were like, yeah, you have ADHD for sure. So I'm going to see her again next week. Okay, you are here for the pan that slash those palette slash eyeshadows. Let's go over the pan that palette. I combined both of those panning videos into one. And just so you know, because I thought about it, I remembered, I swatched all of the shadows that were in my project for this past month for Pan Those eyeshadows. So you can see them right here. That's what I was working with. And now the Pan That palette for this year, it's crazy. I didn't even think of it when I made this video, like when I started to film for this video. I didn't really understand that the Pan That palette is ending now and I should start a new one. And I was like, what should the Pan the palette this year be? Like, what should it be? I don't know. And I'm still kind of guessing right now. I'll tell you what I want to start the year off with. I definitely have an idea, but I don't think it'll be a good idea. But I'm going to try to stick with it. This is my Pan That palette. It's a bunch of singles. I made my own little palette below, and there's only one shadow from the project in this palette, and I don't want you to see that shadow yet. But Kezi is the only shadow I finished this year. It took 79 uses in total to finish Kezi this year. Jamocha, so I'm just going to tell you the total uses I had on these throughout the year instead of telling you like what I used this past month. But just so you know, this past month I did use a lot of Vermeer and Fancy That a little bit. Not Fancy That, the silver one. What's that one? Eclipse. And right now on my eyes, I have Vermeer highlighting my brow bone in this look, an edge, kind of the lighter mustard yellow, blowing out this other mustard brown yellow there. Jamocha this year I used 21 times. Fancy That I used 17 times. Fancy That is that gray. Edge is the mustard. I thought I would use that mustard more. I used it today, but throughout the year I only used it 9 times. Cypress Umber, the brown, I used 24 times. Vermeer I used 38 times, quite a lot, and I almost, not almost, but I'm on my way to finishing Vermeer, so that's cool, but not quite. Don't Care At All is the gold. I used it 10 times. Eclipse I used 18 times. If I used that more, oof, I'd be so done with Eclipse. I might still try to finish it. Shell Yeah gets the award for being used the least. I used it 4 times. Thank You Next gets second place. I used it 6 times. So that's my Pan That palette. My goal was to finish as many shadows as possible. I only finished one and almost finished Vermeer and Eclipse. And you can maybe say Jamocha, but yeah, man, not the best, but keeping in mind that this past year, 2022 was not a good year for me. Like, it was just really rough. It was good and also awful. If I kept going in the mental state I was at in January at the start of 2022, I think I could have finished more shadows. It's totally fine that I didn't finish more shadows, obviously, because it's just a weird goal that has no bearing on anyone, really. Like, you guys get entertained by it, but you also get entertained by whatever I show you. So it's not a big deal, but I wish I did finish more. I do officially have that one less shadow in my collection because Kezi's gone. Oh, I have beautiful paint in my nails. That's what you get for being an art teacher. It's not dirt, it's paint. Is that better? This year I also don't think I can make a video for like my favorite eyeshadows. I just can't do that. Like the past 2 years I've done videos where I've ranked all the eyeshadows that were in my pan those eyeshadows. and that's not going to happen this year. But I think I know what I want to be my pan that palette. I think I want to do the Morphe Such a Gem palette. There's news going on about how Morphe's in a lawsuit and they're going bankrupt, and there's certain palettes that like have bad ingredients. I don't know if this is one of those palettes yet, so this might be very quickly out of the running. I don't know. I'm having a fine time with this palette. Like, I enjoy this palette. Obviously, it's Morphe quality, so a lot of these shimmers, especially, really are not that great. But my plan with this being the Pin the Palette, I love this guy. I really do enjoy it. Pearlfection was in a past pan those eyeshadows, and I still use it all the time. Like, I definitely dive into here. Like, this past month, I've used this shadow. You know, this is one of my favorites. And this was, oh, spoiler alert then. This was in my pan those eyeshadows for quite a few months, and I still haven't hit pan. But you get to see it there then. That one's Why Not, that one at the bottom right there. You saw Why Not. It's okay. Did we expect a pan? No. There's 10 pans in here. 10. With the ones that already have pan, I can just work to expand the pan. Like, I would get entertained by seeing how the pans expand, and I'll actually dive into more of the neutrals here too. I never reach for neutrals in this palette except for Pearlfection. That's the only neutral I reach for. Maybe this one, this very shimmery, champagne-y shadow. But that's it. I could reach into this more for neutrals, for silvery looks, purpley looks, red, pink looks. There's a lot I can do with this. I'm not going to count the pressed glitter. You guys know I don't do the pressed glitters. And everything else, though, I'm going to keep track of. A plan of action that I have with this palette is some of the shimmers I don't like that aren't really that great. Like, this isn't, oh my gosh. Can you see anything on my finger there? So that was me trying to swatch very aggressively the silver up here. So these are some of the shimmers like I just don't care for in the palette. This one's actually looking a little cuter and glossier now, but it's very not impactful. The ones I'm not a fan of, I'll use as a nail polish, I think. Like, get back into using eyeshadows and nail polish and go from there. Eventually, we could see, maybe at the end of the year, if I make enough progress, maybe I can try to depot this palette, because I would like that. There's a lot to kind of try to rebound to, like with this project when I did so poorly last year, but might as well try it. The stakes are very low. I have 6 shadows in my pan those eyeshadows. I've already ordered them from lowest usage to highest usage. So for Christmas break, I was with my parents, didn't have all my makeup with me, accidentally didn't pack the Tribe palette, which is where Chaga is from. I didn't pack this one on accident, so I didn't use it a lot on accident. I only used it once. So there you go. There's the pan. Very little happened at all to it, but I do love this shadow. This is a very beautiful shadow. This is one of my favorites in this palette. The next one, which is currently in a custom-made palette that I put together when I was feeling bored and wanted to feel artistic without having to try and make a painting or an artwork to sell, you know, like those can feel like a lot of pressure. So I just wanted to mess around with my singles, like mess around with my shadows and make my own palette. And this is what I came up with. An Easter egg is included in this palette. Easter egg is originally from the Kaleidos VR Neon palette. So you see it spot there. And unfortunately, even though I love Easter egg, like, this is one of my favorite shadows, this beautiful, bright magenta shadow. But I only used it once too. And I think it was just because I wasn't feeling pink the past month and a half. I was starting to get into grungy colors, so I'm back to grungy a bit. All these 3 right here in this row, the green from the Limoncello palette, are in my look right now, along with Edge and Vermeer. Easter egg, one use. The next one was also one use. It's from the Limoncello palette by ColourPop, and it was this La Festa, this blue down here. I only used it once, but I liked the look that I used it once in. I'll try to find some pictures of looks. Some of the looks that I did do didn't have any of the Pan Those eyeshadows in it because I was really just trying to follow my own wishes without any of the rules on it. So a lot of my favorite looks the past month and a half are not relevant to this video at all. The next one, I'll tell you, this is You Peel Me. So these three all rolled in last video. Oh, and Bone Fresco, I'm stupid. Okay, Bon Fresco. Also rolled in last video, but these two have been with me for a while. You Peel Me, the orange, I only used once this past month, but just so you know, 23 uses in total. So I wasn't able to make pan in 23 uses. I'm sorry. I tried, I wasn't in the mood for orange. I kind of got burnt out on this shade. Funny because it's burnt orange. You can see the dip for sure. You can see that's loved. So that's nice. You know, a little bit of loving on this shadow. The next shadow is the Why Not shadow, which you already saw, so I'll just briefly tell you things about it. I used it 5 times this one right here, 29 times in total. So I used it 29 times as an eyeliner a few times. And there's no pan. These Morphe mattes are no joke. They will not let you hit pan on them until you've used it like 50 or something times. So maybe after this next year, I can finally hit pan on Why Not, but it was not to be this past month and a half, this year of Pan Those Eyeshadows. So that was Why Not. Beautiful color, works great. The reason why I had so many uses on Why Not was because I used it with Bon Fresco too. I currently have the last shadow in our Pan Those Eyeshadows in this big behemoth from Give Me Glow. And I really should reorganize this, but look at the, oh, it's kind of like a mosaic. Bon Fresco is right there. And that is the only shadow I hit pan on. You see it? You see it? That's the only one that I hit pan on this past month and a half. And it was one that rolled in last update. So I'm pretty happy with that. It is an Anastasia Beverly Hills shadow. It's from the Modern Renaissance palette. So hit pan, kind of expected it, kind of pushed for it because I knew I was close. That was my last month and a half of the project for 2022. I did not count how many shadows I hit pan on this past year from my Pan Those Eyeshadows project. So here's the number here. I very much believe it's lower than past years. Past years, I think I did 21 or 22. Now, though, we get to do kind of my favorite part of this whole project is starting fresh with my Pan Those Eyeshadows. The rules are still the same. I don't want to roll in any pressed glitters. I don't want to roll in any shadows that look the same to each other in my Pan Those Eyeshadows or the same to my Pan That palette. So there's a lot of colors that can get like crossed off the list. Depending on like shimmers though, if there's a really high quality shimmer that looks like any of these, I might still roll it in just because I like the shimmers that aren't in this palette more. Like the shimmers outside of this palette in my collection, most of them are better than the shimmers in here. We should be good to go. Okay, are you ready? Here we are. I can't give you a pan percentage in my collection, by the way, because I need to recount and make sure it's accurate. It's not accurate right now, so don't ask me for a pan percentage because I don't know. But this is accurate. I made sure. So all of my palettes are in here, including my singles and everything. And we're gonna roll and see what lands on, and I'll gather all those palettes, and then we'll randomize the numbers to figure out which shade it is. I'll still have 6 shadows in my project for the pan those eyeshadows. So let's see the first palette. It's a little lagging because I'm running on like 9%. So I don't know what that is. ColourPop Singles. Sweet Talk and Chasing Rainbows included. Okay. The next palette. Oh, it's a long one. Tarts Be a Mermaid and Make Waves. Okay, those are easy to find because the pans are like a specific shape. Wow, we're going into singles already. Juvia's Place Magic Mini. Those are also depotted in my singles. So that's going to be fun to find. Lord. I'll find as many as I can. I can't promise I'll find all of them. Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Storm. Easy peasy. First palette. Okay, that was 4. So now the 5th one. Another long one. ColourPop. This palette was in my project so much last year. ColourPop's collaboration with Sailor Moon, the Pretty Guardian palette. And then last one. Hello. Shroud and Butte Beans. Sorry, I almost dropped it. I got so excited. Shroud and Butte Beans. Now Batty Bean, I think. It's freaking Bats palette. So very excited about this rolling in, and let me gather the singles. Okay, I found all the singles and we're gonna randomize a bunch of numbers now, okay? Stay with me. So my ColourPop singles are, some of them are just ColourPop singles I bought, so they weren't associated with any palette, but I also depotted Sweet Talk and Chasing Rainbows. All the ones that don't have pan in them are included in this selection that I have right now. There's 23 of them. I'm going to say that the first 9 are this palette, and then we'll go like left to right down here. Like this is the old brown sugar palette. My cover that I made is still going strong. I just put a bunch of the pinks in here. My other singles are actually pretty cohesive. All these over here are the other singles. Let's roll that number finally, please. 16. So that automatically, all of these are out. That's 1 through 9. And then 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Ooh, this is Captain something. Team Captain. So let me swatch that. This really, it matches my outfit right now. This olive green, almost sagey green maybe. I feel like olive is more warm to me, but this is kind of cooler, more gray toned. This will take a while to pan because I haven't used this single a ton, even though I bought it years ago. And I love the color, but it's in my grungy mood. Like it totally fits the mood I'm in, the color I'm enjoying lately, olives, mustards, all that. So that will roll in from the ColourPop singles option. Great, love it, into it. So the Tarte shadows, there's not a lot of options, I realized. I forgot that long ago I threw away the mattes because the mattes back then, for me, weren't working great, and I just decided to throw them away, and most of them were neutrals anyways. And I have pan on these 2 shimmers. So these 2 shimmers have pan, and this one looks too much like a shadow in the Morphe palette that I'd like to still use. So I'm gonna keep in these 5, even though these last 3 probably have kind of dupes in the Morphe palette. It's fine. I will let these 5 roll in, potentially. Randomize. 4! Yeah, so this shadow is definitely like one from the Morphe palette. So like 1, 2, 3, 4. But that's okay. It's probably better than the shadow in the Morphe palette. So I will work to hit pan on that red. It's a nice shadow. We'll see how long it takes me to hit pan on it though, because it looks kind of like Thank You Next from my Pan That palette last year, but more red, less orangey, I guess. That one's in. I don't know its name. I can look it up. There's the name. The Juvia's Place Magic Mini, which I've depotted, and there are 3 of them missing from the running because I hit pan on those. These 12 right here in the middle, those are the Juvia's Place Magic Minis that don't have pan in them. This has pan, and that blue over here has pan, but these 12 do not. So I'm going to roll in, like go from the left here to the right, and let's roll in something from the Juvia's Place Magic Mini, a fave. So 1 through 12, it's not 4. Okay, 2. Okay, the Lord is testing me. It's definitely a cohesive color story thus far. Wait, this is not a Juvia's Place shadow. That one isn't. Doesn't matter, I rolled 2, but that one's an imposter. Imposter. But we rolled 2 anyways, so it doesn't matter. And that's that dark green. So it should go, it's kind of like a, not shimmer. What is the in-between called when it's not a shimmer? Oh Lord.
A few moments later.
Not a matte, not a shimmer. Satin. Okay. My old boss in the paint department would have been really sad. Ooh, oh my god, it's going to look so great with Team Captain. It's this satin dark green. I kind of love it. I love the combo thus far. Imagine it looks similar like this to the greens instead. Let's continue. I believe the next thing that we rolled in was Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Storm, a palette I greatly love. I do really enjoy it. It's like not my favorite, but it's definitely in the middle of the pack. And I already have 2 pans, so here and the tiny one here. So only 10 of these shadows are eligible. Let's change the maximum number and roll. There it goes. 5. Ugh, I lost You Peel Me, and I get something very similar back. 5 is Lunar Eclipse. It is a burnt orange. You know, we get what we get and we don't throw a fit. But look at how it's working with everything. So I might just be blessed, highly favored. Amen. Let's do the ColourPop Pretty Guardian palette. 2 more shadows left to go. This is how it's looking. So it rolled in so many times last project that, did I put a ban on it? I don't remember if I banned it for a second, but there's 5 pans and there's 1 pressed glitter that I'm not going to use. So there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shadows eligible in this palette. Let's make the maximum number 6 and randomize. 1. This one's not going to be my favorite. Look, it's a tan. It's good because like I don't really have a tan like this in the Morphe Such a Gem palette, I think. Nothing that's like a blender that's my skin tone, but it's just so boring. It's a skin tone matte with sparkles in it, because in the Sailor Moon palette, they just decided to like add sparkles to a bunch of the mattes to make it appealing. I don't know. To me, it's not that appealing, but it fits with like the cutesiness of the show, I guess, and like the glamour. But there's that skin tone shadow. I can definitely use it to blend things out. So it will, like, I'll totally hit pan on this, but it'll take time. And it's just not a fun shadow. Next palette. This is the one I'm probably the most excited to have roll in. It's freaking bats. And ooh, any of those, they're brighter than these colors that I already have, but so many of these could really put a cool twist on this palette, on this color, whatever. So 1 to 9, let's randomize. 6. I think 6 is that murky green. Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is a totally different green from Team Captain by ColourPop. In my Pan Those Eyeshadows projects, I get so many months where the colors are just so freaking fun together. I can use all of these greens together for sure in a monochromatic look and include that. And I can even try to like mix the greens with the oranges and reds, avoiding Christmas looks, but these are grungy enough to where I think they wouldn't read Christmassy, maybe grungy Christmas. But yeah, like What? This is so cool. So this was my old color story, and this is the color story that I'm starting out with in the new year in 2023. I'm pumped. I'm honestly pumped. I'm not gonna have any expectations on if I'll do well or not. This upcoming year is gonna be a lot of me really trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, to be honest. Like I said, I'm seeking help. I'm meeting with a psychiatrist and second meeting is on Wednesday, and I'm trying to reevaluate my career, to be honest, because I think it's not helping me be a happy individual at all, which is like a whole other thing. We'll see. I'll try and make videos in between all of that figuring out of my life. It's time to say goodbye. All right, let me get out of this bathroom. Bye.